Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PAGCOR.
Calling all fundraising organizations. Be a partner of PCSO to its newest project, PCSO Partner Tayo. Interested parties may visit the PCSO Product and Standard Development Department, 3rd floor, Conservatory Building, Shaw Boulevard, Mandaluyong City. You may also visit any of our branches in your vicinity or province or email us at pcso_marketing@yahoo.com. Partner tayo sa pagtulong sa Pilipino. Nakakatulong ka na, umaasenso ka pa.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PCSO.
Okay, magandang araw. Captain Sharon Reyes, Doctor, Sister Eva Maamo,
Good
and
afternoon,
Dr.
sir.
Lina Banilla.
Good afternoon, Secretary Rafi. I'm actually the non-doctor in the group.
Okay. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagdalaw sa Thinking Out Loud with Rafi Alunan.
Welcome
At
po.
marami tayong pag-uusapan ngayong araw na ito tungkol sa isang magandang project ng Rotary Club of Manila na sa aming palagay, i-adapt din ng District 3810 ng Rotary Club at hopefully yung kabuuan ng Rotary Club ng Pilipinas. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay isang bahagi ng ating humanitarian assistance para sa war victims at disaster victims na gusto nating iparating sa kanila doon sa Marawi. At itong bahaging na pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay tungkol sa medical missions at yung pagbibigay ng artificial limbs or prosthesis sa mga nawalaan ng kamay o paa. So, let's start off with the medical missions. Si Dr. Sharon Reyes ay kapitan din sa Philippine Army Reserves at dati kong medical company commander sa 9th Infantry Division Ready Reserve. At for 5 years, wala kaming ginawa kundi mag-medical mission sa Metro Manila at saka sa Central Luzon. So I'd like to start off with Dr. Reyes. Sharon, anong mga pinaplano natin for medical missions sa Marawi?
So first and foremost, it's always a pleasure to be under your command.
Thank you very much.
Sir, for every disaster, it's actually a personal advocacy and through the efforts of the Philippine Army Reserve that we go out to disasters, whether it's, well, for the past years we've been tackling natural disasters. But this time, when there was a program that will come up with a medical mission in Marawi, the first time I heard about Marawi, I already thought of coming up with a medical team to go to Marawi and extend our services. But then, it was so, magulo pa nun sa Marawi. So now, with the Rotary's project, so I was very glad that I'll be able to extend my services to Rotary. Sir, this kind of disaster is not already natural, but it's man-made. So I've heard that these people from Marawi were evacuated to centers in Iligan City, and in every evacuation center, there's always the high incidence of diseases transmitting to each other, especially in children. So, joining this mission to extend medical, and with Sister Eva, the surgical group, will be able to attend to these patients who were still unable to go out of their area to seek medical treatment. That's why we're coming in.
Okay, your experience and our experience has been dealing with people living in the peripheries, basically the poor in the barangays that really need medical help on a regular basis. That's why we have our medcaps. And dealing with disaster victims.
Yes.
Sister, I recall that you and Sharon, I met you in Tacloban
Yes.
last year or 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
2 years ago, where Pepsi Cola,
Yeah.
the Tanawan plant in Pepsi Cola hosted you and the
My
team of
team.
Captain Reyes, and your MedCap teams dealt with the disaster victims of Yolanda in 3 towns, Palo, Tanawan, and Tacloban. Could you share with us your experience in dealing with these victims?
Actually, sir, our group, we have 300 volunteer doctors, nurses, dentists from 8 hospitals. We started going around the country since 1985 per invitation, and usually we stay 1 week in a place to maximize services. And also, we have so many experience about disaster management, and thank you for inviting us. And we had a very good experience working with your group in Tacloban. So when I invited our team, they're just happy also to cooperate with us. But there are some who are not really available. But they said, sister, anytime that we are available, we can join you. So far, we have already recruited the team, and we included already 3 dentists. They're coming with us.
Sister, you are a surgeon,
Opo.
and I recall that you also brought a team of surgeons. What kind of surgery did you perform in Leyte?
In Leyte, most of the surgeries that we did, sir, were more of local excisions and minor cases. But the cases that were major, we have to do them in the hospitals.
Were you able to do that in the hospital?
There were
during that time?
some that we did, but very few. But most of the cases were minor.
Okay,
cases.
and these minor cases had to do with mga pigsa,
Mga
ganon?
pigsa,
Lumps and bumps.
Usually.
yeah.
Yeah,
And we have
it's mga
prepared
skin,
for
no?
that,
Skin afflictions.
Yeah. Valin, my my staff, who
Yes.
is a midwife, has prepared already the things that we need for surgeries, and also there are some people who volunteered to find out where they can secure medicines who are cheap.
Okay, did you deal with disaster victims that lost their limbs?
There were some, sir. There were some.
Oh, there were
And this
some.
time we have also an orthopedic coming with us.
Okay, that's a good point because this is where Lynn comes in because of your position
Walk-in-free
with the
program.
Physicians for Peace, and where you've concentrated on providing prosthesis to people who have lost their limbs, no?
Yeah.
Both disaster victims and war victims. Could you talk to us more about that?
Well, first of all, I come here as a Rotarian, very basically, and as a member of Physicians for Peace.
Yeah.
I am very happy that I'll be working with all of you here for our humanitarian assistance in Marawi. We will be joining the medical group, of course, when we conduct the healthcare mission for the Marawi victims.
Yeah.
But we're also willing to be part of the rehabilitation or identification of those who lost their legs and limbs.
Yeah.
Although Physicians for Peace is just concentrating or focusing on the lower limb, like below knee and upper knee, but we can
So basically the
coordinate
legs,
with-
just the legs.
We can coordinate and find some people who are into the provision of arms, lost their arms. We are also able to provide other mobility devices for those needing, like wheelchairs and crutches and canes, and for the blind, because we have our partners, like the Latter-day Saints and other partners that help us provide this. So Physicians for Peace, again, believes in the power of sharing and networking and a complementing work, because I'm very happy that Rotary is very much involved. And I'm happy also that you mentioned we're trying to encourage all Rotarians in the Philippines to come into the fold and be part of this. It's going to be a huge humanitarian service that we are going to do in Marawi and Iligan City right now, because this is where our victims are.
Yes.
So with our collaborative efforts, I'm sure we'll be able to do that.
We were in V Luna last week, and the severely injured from Marawi, among our soldiers, are confined in Viluna, and many of them were had lost their limbs, their eyesight, no, and we're looking forward to assistance from Rotary.
Yeah.
Like one fellow there that I talked to, he lost his leg 6 months ago.
In the war? Or?
Not in Marawi, but in another
Yeah, in another
battle area.
Yeah.
He was ambushed, and the bullet hit his bone and crushed it, and they had to amputate because it was getting infected already. You know? I think the problem of gangrene was setting in. So he said he was looking forward to somebody who could help him regain his
Viluna has
Its
a
mobility.
facility for provision of artificial legs.
Yeah, yes, I think
Not enough.
there are donors, and I think there is some assistance there coming from the armed forces. But again, given
There's always the huge
given the
need,
surge,
yeah.
the surge of amputees, no, coming from the war, it will really need our help.
Yeah.
In the course of the conduct of your medical missions, you've encountered people who've sort of lost their senses, so to speak. In medical terms, ang tawag dyan ay post-traumatic stress disorder. At in the words of some psychiatrists that I've spoken to, ang sabi nila, yung post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD ay kung malubhang-maluba yung affliction, is asymptomatic, well, I don't know if I'm using the right word, but it mirrors depression, or it leads to depression.
Exactly.
And people in deep depression either use drugs to escape their turmoil inside, their inner turmoil, or at times even commit suicide to end it all. No, and there have been cases of suicide already. Have you encountered that in your medcaps, and have you ever discussed how to deal with that? Pinag-usapan ba natin yan sa mga medcaps ninyo?
Sir, during Yolanda, that was the first time we went to Tacloban for our first medcap in Yolanda. There was this one old guy who was just in front of a makeshift graveyard, and he was just talking to the soil. We were watching at the back, and we spent probably an hour watching that man. And when we came near that guy, he was talking to the soil, and he was just talking just like he was conversing with people. So we started conversing with the man, and we asked, "Sino pong kausap nyo?" He was talking to his wife. He said, "Kausap ko yung asawa ko, kausap ko yung pamangkin ko." In that, just like this table, that size, there were 9. He couldn't locate the bodies, but he just assumed that they were there.
Yeah.
So that's one case of a post-traumatic distress disorder. He was talking and talking as if somebody was replying to him.
One of the things that come out of these stories, no, is that people who are not treated become very unproductive.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Disturbed na sila eh.
Yeah.
They're very disturbed, and of
Distracted,
course that
disturbed.
if there are many of them, that impacts on economic productivity, income, and relations with personal relations. No? It affects relations with the family and relationships with the community, and therefore requires
Intervention.
professional help,
Yes.
medical intervention. And this is one of the items that we're looking at.
Yeah, we're trying to
Yeah.
include that in our
Yeah.
humanitarian assistance.
Yeah, Lynn, could you talk to us more about that? What are we doing towards that end?
We're of course talking to psychologists and psychiatrists to give us the proper intervention that we can do, because we realize there is really a need
Yeah.
There are so many people there that, hindi naman siguro seryoso, but the fact that your mind is already disturbed because maraming reasons Pwedeng nawalan ng pamilya, pwede ring hunger, pwede rin yung distraction niya dahil hindi niya na alam kung asa na ba ako. These are just a few things or some factors that affects the mind of the person. And therefore, disturbed, distracted siya. Kaya kailangan tulungan talaga ang mga taong nasa ganyang situation. So we're very happy that we have psychiatrists and psychologists, but we need more.
Yeah.
So yung mga nakakarinig sa amin, baka gusto nyo mag-volunteer na magbigay ng serbisyo sa ganitong aspeto, pagtulong-tulungan natin that we'll be able to do something on this PTSD program that we will do. This is just one part of the humanitarian assistance that through the leadership of Secretary Rafi and the Rotary Club of Manila and us, our fellow Rotarians and friends of Rotary, we're trying to get all these other needs that we saw, that we realized there's a need to meet. Like for example, the trauma that these people are experiencing, the hunger, so we do feeding, the medical attention that they need. That's why the three of us here, three ladies, are working on the med cups. And not only that, we're also providing water. Not just
Yung
the bottled water, but
hygiene
we're trying our best that we will be able to give a water facility.
Water, shower, bath.
Yes, and
Yeah,
even
toilet.
the other needs that have been presented to us.
Yeah, for hygiene.
I'm very happy that you've been there, but the stories we've heard also reaffirm all these needs. So it's not an easy thing to do. We need everybody's help.
Lynn, we are basically trying to get first experts mobilized there in Mindanao, right? And then we will provide augmentation
Yes.
from Manila. That's really the best way to divide the labor and to be cost efficient, no? Cost
Yes.
effective. The same thing I think applies to our medical missions, right?
Yes, sir.
Using the locals.
Using the locals, and then what we do is we augment that with whatever medical supplies and medicines we can get from here and push it down
Yes.
there. Right?
And expertise that are not there.
Yes, that we can provide
Yeah,
from
that
here.
we can provide.
That's
But
right.
I am very positive. There are a lot of people waiting to be tapped. People in the areas near Iligan City and Marawi. We just have to,
Make them aware.
yes, and invite them to come
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has a good heart.
Sister,
We
you
Filipinos-
mentioned several hundred doctors and earlier.
Yeah,
Are they from Manila or they scattered?
From Manila, from 8 hospitals po.
Oh, from 8 hospitals in
And my experience when we go out for mission, they always tell me, and it takes us, I make it a point that we stay 1 week to maximize all the expenses and services. After a mission, they'll always tell me, sister, please don't forget us for the next mission. So I'll tell them, you know, we are many, so we'll take turns because you lose thousands from your practice, especially the consultants.
very good.
But they always
That's good
tell
to know.
me, sir, sister, you just don't know. You cannot pay us with money. The peace and the joy that you experience reaching out to the poor, hindi mo kami mabayadan. Mabait ang Diyos sa amin. Pagbalik namin, dumadami ang mga pasyente.
That's
So they become my inspiration and strength to
Yeah.
keep going.
I think Secretary Rafi, yung spirit of volunteerism ng Filipinos is very high.
Yung bayanihan.
Oo, di ba?
Bayanihan spirit.
Yun ang na-experience ko din sa Physicians for Peace and in our Rotary clubs. I think they're just too willing. Yun nga lang, talagang minsan, you have to tell them where they're
Kailangan
needed.
i-direct.
Oo. Kasi tayo yon. Dahil alam natin, lalo na kayo, nakapunta kayo doon, you showed us and you told us the stories. So we're here. Dahil kailangan ng tulong ng mga kapatid natin doon sa Marawi.
Yes.
Tsaka sir, ang...
And your soldiers, the soldiers
Yes.
in Viluna as you visited.
And also the Army General Hospital the week before.
So we will also include them, we will also embrace them.
That's right.
Tsaka sir, I'm happy you're considering of involving the local medical groups, because like when we do surgery, when we leave, they should be the ones to follow up the cases.
That's
po.
correct.
Post,
That's
yung
correct.
post natin. That's why we have to endorse, no, sister?
Yes. And the medicines also.
Ang nakakatawa lang na siguro talagang serendipity din that the three of us met, you gathered us here because we're all, you've been doing services on medical missions. Kami kasi we do multi-specialty missions. So imagine the three of us here and others who will be coming in. All our efforts will be,
This is,
Our task-
this is
Our
providential.
task
di ba
is,
nakakatawa yun?
This is providential.
It is.
Our
It
task
is.
is to spot the doers.
Yeah. Or the
Sharon.
chargers.
Sharon, ano ang, just to give an idea to our viewers, ano ang shape ng ating medical missions? Ano ang mga components niya? How do we conduct it?
Okay. A regular medical mission is composed of many doctors. So I segregate each department or each specialty. So I have a team of pediatricians, I have a team of OBGYNs, internists, and surgeons.
Surgeons.
I have a team of nurses. They're all volunteer doctors and nurses. I have a team of volunteer nurses who would do the vital signs when patients come in, do the weighing for the pediatricians, and then we go to the next stage, which is the consultation proper. There's a triage officer, which should be a nurse or a doctor also.
When
who-
you say triage, what's she supposed to do?
She's supposed to assign the condition of the patient to where specialty does he belong to.
Okay.
A patient with hypertension, we had many cases of hypertension in Tacloban. I was very glad we had a cardiologist who came along with us.
Cardiologist.
Cardiologist. She saw, I think, 6 impending stroke
attacks.
victims.
Stroke.
And these people didn't know they were impending stroke
Already in
already.
that
Yeah.
situation.
So I was very happy with those stroke. I was very happy with the doctor, not the stroke patients. Okay, so we assign per specialty, and then after that we have a pool of medicines. I call this the pharmacy area, wherein we dispense all our medicines, and then if we have some relief goods for these disasters, that's the last stop of the patients. The most common, the incidence of the population for MedCops is usually 70 to 80% pediatric, and then 20 to 30% adult. So among those pediatric conditions would be, of course, the pulmonary, gastrointestinal, diarrhea, stomach
Skin?
pains, no diarrhea,
Skin-
and
skin,
skin, yeah,
skin
and the
diseases,
dermatological. And then for the adult, we have the stroke patients, hypertension, who do not have the maintenance or even the most immediate medications to lower their blood pressures.
And then
Or
there's,
probably
course,
because of the
people with
situation.
Yes,
eyesight problems.
those are the
Are there
Yeah.
vision problems?
And
there are.
dental problems.
yes, dental problems, but then they come in at the last part. Those are the most common, the ones I mentioned earlier.
Yes, and the most expensive
And-
also to get treatment, no?
Yes.
And priority, no?
Yes,
Sila yung priority
yes.
talaga.
The triage officer takes
What
care of
happens
that.
sa dental portion? Do they just pull out the teeth or?
Sir, when we go for missions, I see to it that it is complete surgical, medical, dental.
Yes.
And I'm happy because many dentists are just willing to come.
To help. Oh,
And
fantastic.
I don't know if others agree that one of the most patients that we have are dental, no? And so they are a very
Mahal
big
kasi
help
yun eh.
to us. Oo.
Yeah.
So they come along with us.
Mahal yung extraction din. Magkano? Hindi ko na alam magkano
Hindi ko
yun.
alam.
But
Pero yung
But they don't
cavity,
charge.
do you deal with the cavity?
Yes, they do.
Also?
Everything. ho, they
prophylaxis
do.
ba yun, sister?
Yes, prophylaxis.
Prophylaxis is one, and then filling the cavities is another.
Yeah, they do that.
And then extraction.
And then extraction. Wow.
Because that's not the priority among those population.
Yeah.
So when they get to see a dentist, talagang they really queue up.
And then there's another one which is minor surgery, but it's just strictly for the boys, no? The circumcision. Circumcision.
Always.
We had a very funny story involving Sister Eva and Sharon and I in Tacloban. There was a young boy. Ito pakinggan niyo ito There was a young boy nakita niya yung lahat ng mga karton na tinatapon ng mga doktor kasi wala nang laman na medicines.
Yeah.
Napakaganda yung mga karton kasi matibay.
Makapal.
So pinuntahan ako, kinausap ako, sabi niya, "Sir, pwede ba kunin yung mga yung mga
Karton.
iuwi ko na lang yung mga karton?" Sabi ko, "Pwede." Pero may isang doktor na nag-intervene. Sabi niya, isang kondisyon, magpatuloy ka muna. Ayaw. Sabi ng bata, ayaw ko, kasi masakit. O di sabi ng doktor, hindi mo pwedeng kunin yung ano yan,
Yung boxes.
yung karton hanggat magpapatuloy ka. Paulit-ulit yung situation. Pupunta sa akin, ako naman, okay,
Talagang makulit yung bata.
walang problema, pero kinukulit ng doktor. Finally, sabi ng bata, "Sir, pwede ba pag-usapan na lang natin? Tatay ko na lang." End of story. So, binigay ko na lang yung karton sa kanya.
Sir, I have also a funny story. These Atenean medical students are affiliated with me for their community medicine. Then I have to teach them also procedures. Then one day, we agreed I'll teach them magtuli
Tuli.
po. Ngayon, nakaupo maraming bata. May isang matanda, 80 years old. Sabi ko, "Manong, ano hong kailangan nyo?" Sabi niya, "Magpatuli." Di, tumawa ako. Akala ko niloko niya ako, umalis ako. Pagkatapos, natapos namin ng mga bata, sabi niya, "Ako."
Nakapila
Sabi,
talaga siya.
Manong, "Ako, ano bang gusto mo?" "Magpatuli nga, hindi mo ako pinansin." "Bakit ka magpatuli?
Nagalit pa.
80 years old ka na." "Niluluko ako ng kapitbahay. Basta huwag ikaw ang magtuli kay madre ka. Iba na, lalaki." So, I have to call the intern to do the tuli for him. 80 years old po.
Oh boy. So, at this point, we're going to take a break. Don't go away.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PAGCOR.
Calling all fundraising organizations. Be a partner of PCSO to its newest project, PCSO Partner Tayo. Interested parties may visit the PCSO Product and Standard Development Department, 3rd floor, Conservatory Building, Shaw Boulevard, Mandaluyong City. You may also visit any of our branches in your vicinity or province or email us at pcso_marketing@yahoo.com. Partner tayo sa pagtulong sa Pilipino. Nakakatulong ka na, umaasenso ka pa.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PCSO.
Okay, nandito pa rin tayo sa Thinking Out Loud with Rafi Alunan. At kasama pa rin natin sina Dr. Sharon Reyes, Miss Lynn Alano Abanilla, and Sister Eva Fidela Maamo. Kanina pinag-usapan natin yung impact ng PTSD. At for some people, medyo light lang yung impact. Kaya't ang treatment niyan song and laughter. At pwede na silang guminhawa.
Lift up the spirits.
Lift up the spirit and they're back to normal. But there are those who are affected very deeply by PTSD and fall into depression and also turn to drugs to escape the harsh realities. No? And that seems to be a major problem because every year we're visited by natural disasters. And there are some people who do acquire PTSD but are left unattended because they're not noticed. Iba yung focus ng yung mga missions natin, which is basically to provide relief, no, provide shelter. After that, wala na. This very important aspect of treating victims with PTSD is lost on most of us. And for as long as PTSD victims are not treated, ang sinabi nga natin kanina, it affects their productivity and it affects yung relationship nila, no? To the point where their social friction and tensions nagkakagulo sa community. Yung intervention diyan sa PTSD, lalo na yung those people that turn to drugs, I think is a major problem. Because that is what we're facing today. The single biggest controversy that we're dealing with today sa Pilipinas is the drug affliction. And I know where President Digong Duterte is coming from because naalala ko during the campaign, wherever we went, pag nangangampanya kami niyan, motorcade man o sa isang lugar where kinakausap namin yung mga large crowds that go there, they give us pieces of paper, binibigay sa amin. Sinasabi, tulungan nyo kami. Ito yung mga tumutulak ng droga sa aming barangay. No? Takot na takot kami lumabas sa aming mga bahay, sa aming mga tahanan kasi binabalya kami o hino-hold up kami o ginagahasa yung mga babae, may namamatay. At wala kaming mapuntahan kasi yung aming barangay captain o yung mga police, local police o yung mayorman o councilor ay kasabwat. No? Wherever we went, ganun ang information na natatanggap at so that formed a national view in the mind of the president. In the absence of empirical data coming from our government institutions na ganito kalaki ang, halimbawa, ganito kalaki ang drug problem, X number of people, right? Ito lang ang maibibigay ng gobyerno at ng civil society na tulong sa mga addicts. Right? Walang ganon. So, sa aming pananaw, talagang malaki ang problema, yung capacity to help and to relieve people that were being terrorized by drugs was very limited. Kasi infiltrated din ng gobyerno.
Yeah.
No? So now comes the question, how do we deal with drug addicts who are crying for help, but there is no help that's forthcoming because there's none available? Kanina pinag-usapan natin bago nag-umpisa itong show na sabihin na lang natin na nationwide, sabihin na lang 1 million na lang yung addict. Okay, 1 million na lang. Ang tanong dyan is, do we have enough facilities equipped with psychiatrists, psychologists, guidance counselors to properly rehabilitate the addicts? How many facilities are needed to deal with 1 million addicts? Where are we going to put those facilities? Ano ang capacity bawat facility? Because it has to deal with, it has to coincide with the number of addicts in that area. Some will be bigger, others will be smaller. But they have to be adequately staffed. And pag-graduate nila sa rehab at bumalik sa tahanan o sa community na doon nag-umpisa yung kanilang drug addiction in the first place, who is dealing with changing the family and community environment para pag bumalik na yung na-rehab na drug addict, iba na yung environment nila at hindi na sila magre-relapse at babalik doon sa drug. Walang ganun. Hanggang ngayon, hinihintay ko pa yung empirical data that matches supply and demand and what the actual actions are by both government and civil society to address that. So, here is an idea that I'd like to process with the three of you. Yung drug addicts na have not turned to crime, kasi ibang ano yun ibang grupo yun This is where law enforcement comes in. No? Yung drug addicts that really need help and are crying for help, but are not getting the help they need or they want. Why doesn't the CBCP mobilize all of its dioceses and put a drug rehab center in each diocese supported by civil society with a commitment that they will do this for the long pull, for the long term, because there are two aspects here. One is making sure that the proper treatment is done in the drug rehab centers. The second is to transform the families and the communities into enabling environments or loving environments that will no longer impact on the rehabilitated addict, that would force him to go back if he relapse,
If there is no-
if there's a relapse, no? The
Substantial.
chances of a relapse is high if we don't change the environment sa families, as a community. No one is doing that right now, but perhaps there is an idea that whose time has come, and where the CBCP, which is very proactive in voicing out its, shall we say,
Sentiments.
its contempt for the way drug addicts are being handled without any distinction. This is where perhaps they can come in and mobilize civil society, starting with the parishes, the parishes that are within each diocese, no, and identify the experts that can help out in the rehab center, and the experts that can help transform the families and the communities into enabling environments. What do you think? Is that a doable
Sir,
thing?
Yeah, sir, thank you. Kasi God provided yesterday. Parang ayaw ko pumunta sa Itari settlement area namin kasi pagod talaga ako, ang daming meetings pa namin. Pero last minute, I don't know, I decided to go kasi yung isang pari at saka yung team niya brought 50 addicts to our resettlement area with ITAS. It's about an hour drive to the mountains.
Saan din po
These
yun, sister? Saan
sa
po yun?
Gala,
Saan yun?
Subic, Sambales po.
Sambales po?
Opo.
Okay.
We have complete na doon po. We have school, we have cooperatives nila, may clinic na. And then the priest called me up, kung pwede madala niya yung mga addict doon. May dala ho silang psychiatrist, psychologist, mga teachers, and I saw how loving they were to the group, no? At saka very responsive yung grupo. So nag-usap kami ng pare, sabi ko, Father, I would like to know what is your plans for this? Kasi baka we can work together and we can help you. Sabi niya, sister, pwede ba i-avail mo itong lugar nyo when we bring up some addicts? Kasi bigyan namin silang retreats, bigyan namin silang mga conferences, at saka ang importante talaga na makita nila na mahal sila, na at saka yung mga ita po, they welcome them doon, nakipaglaro sa kanila and all that. That's why I'm thinking po na I will continue the effort to find out ano talaga ang mga programa nila. So in what way we can help as a foundation, we will help. And I told them, I will avail the place for you. Kung may dadalhin kayo ng mga tao dito na affected with drugs, you are welcome. Kasi I think po isang importante sa mga drug addicts is to feel that they are being loved.
Cared.
Yes.
That they are being cared.
Sister, yung 50 addicts na yon, galing ba sa lowland yun o sa highland?
Galing ho sa Caloocan.
Caloocan.
Oo.
At
And
dinala
then,
sa
dinala
Sambales.
doon sa Sambales.
Kasi
Binigyan
doon ang
retreat.
rehabilitation center.
Yun
Hindi
siguro
ho.
yung nalaman
Hindi,
nila, no?
nidala nila doon, parang bigyan ng mga sessions po. May psychiatrist, psychologist, saka spiritual, Kaya sabi ko, malaking tulong ito if we continue. But I want to know the whole program. Parang we can work together, how we can support
So they're
them.
galing sa Caloocan.
Caloocan.
Doon yung maraming killings.
Oh, and then they are planning to move to the other areas, parang i-collect na naman doon, parang dalhin na naman nila doon, bigyan ng session. Pero I want to know the whole program. Parang if there are things
So
na we
you
can
do the right
suggest,
thing.
and then we can provide other things.
Sister,
Maybe we can work together.
Ano yung profile nito mga kabataan na ito? Out of school youth, from the
Alam mo,
slums?
may mga matanda na.
From the slums
Sa
po?
Oh, from slums yata.
From the
Hindi ko
slums.
na, I didn't have enough time ho kasi I have to come back to
Okay.
Manila. I just stayed 2 hours, talk to the priest and to the group. They asked me to give a talk. And tutuwa-tuwa naman sila. Parang I could see na they were
Pero
happy.
mukhang maralita.
Buka po.
Walang mga mayayaman doon sa grupo
Wala
na yun.
akong nakitang mayaman po.
Kasi
Siguro
hindi naman
galing sa
siya buong
squad.
ginagamit, cocaine naman ang ginagamit nila.
Kagaya din siguro yan yung napuntahan ko.
Oo.
Di ba? No, kasi I was just there last Saturday. I was invited by a priest, si Father Arnold. Sorry, nakalimutan ko yung apelyido ni Father Arnold. But he brought us there. He asked for a medical assistance. So we brought our rehab, wheelchair assessors, and optometrists. And then while there, nakita ko yung nakalagay sa pangalan ng center niya, Saklay Center. So I thought all the while it's
Saklay.
the mobility
Yeah.
device. But the true meaning of Saklay is, I think, to help.
Yeah.
So,
Assist.
nagtanong ako sa Father, what do you do here? Bakit Saklay? Akala ko tuloy because of our program. Yung pala, just the day before we came, he had 30 graduates. So, tinanong ko, anong graduation ito? It's a rehab. So, yung question kanina ni Secretary Rafi na, are there centers? I think there are, but not much, not many.
Yeah.
But ideally, siguro, kailangan hanapin yung the right approach to a kind of rehab needed for the
Yeah.
drug
Exactly.
addicts who wants to be rehabilitated.
Yeah, I agree.
This is just one of those na nakita ko. So may spiritual component yon. The love and care is there. Imagine for, I think 90 days, 3 months, they have to feed these 30 people. And the community they just so involved. Natuwa ako kasi I saw women cooking for to feed these people. I saw a nice center where there's a guidance counseling.
What place is this one?
Nueva Ecija.
Okay.
I saw a tree house where they can relax. I met 2 of the people there kasi kaaalis lang nung 30. Pero na-meet ko yung dalawa. As a matter of fact, sinakay namin sila pagbiyahe pa uwi sa Manila. Dahil walang kasama yung driver pabalik. So I had a good conversation with them. Tinanong mo din kanina kung mahirap ba. Sa tingin ko mahirap. Mahirap lang sila. Pero sabi nila, natuwa sila dahil nabago ang buhay nila doon sa rehab center na napuntahan ko sa Nueva Ecija. This is not the rehab center built by the government,
Yes.
but this is a rehab center initiated by a priest who is expert, palagay ko expert siya on psychology and psychiatry. Or maybe he has experts who are helping him with this. They even have a community center, a computer center, a place where they can all pray. Ang ganda ng lugar. So, depende siguro sa, I'm trying to find out what is the right program, as you were asking also, the right approach to this drug addicts who need to be rehabilitated. Kasi I believe in that power of rehabilitation. They should be given the chance.
Then, there are horror stories kasi sa mga rehab centers, especially yung mga government drug rehab centers, because some of the officials running the centers are themselves selling drugs.
O kaya
to
hindi
the
natitrip.
addicts, no? That's one. Second, because the reason for that is because many of the addicts that go there are mandated or directed to go there and they don't have wala bang commitment or desire to really get rehabilitated. Parang pinilit lang sila. So, that's a ready market for any corrupt official, no? To continue the business. Anyway, captured market eh. At gusto rin nila, ayaw maparehab eh. How to deal with that is a major
The how
issue.
of rehabilitating.
First of all, convincing a drug addict to recognize, first he has to recognize as a
Accept.
problem.
Accept.
He has to accept he has the problem and
With the
he wants to be rehabilitated. Second, if he makes that decision, he should voluntarily go
With
to
support
a rehab
of the
center,
family.
but that rehab center is one that's accredited. Accredited, I don't know if it should be accredited by the government, maybe accredited by the church, by a reliable
May tamang
and
approach siguro.
a credible institution that accredits these things to say that this is a very, very good drug rehab center, no? That has all the facilities and the experts to help you, no? Kasi kung na-recognize mo na may problema ka at gusto mong ma-rehabilitate, that's 50% of the problem solved.
Exactly.
Kaysa pinipilit ka na pumunta doon, ayaw mo magpa-rehab, ay whoever is it inside the rehab center that sells drugs, doon ka pupunta to continue the habit. And that's why there's a lot of corruption
There
going
are-
on. No? That is a pitfall, and that's something that our government officials have to look into.
The government and all of us, I think,
church,
has a
yeah.
responsibility.
Kasi part of the problem why it's still like this is because since day one, when the new administration took over, the first step that they needed to take was not taken, which was to clean house. Kasi heavily infiltrated ang gobyerno eh. Mahirap mag-conduct ng anti-crime campaign or anti-drug campaign or anti-corruption campaign if you do not clean up your stables. Kung hindi mo tatanggalin yung mga infiltrator sa Trojan horses na kasabwat ng kalaban mo, eh anong gagawin nila? Di sisirain yung programa mo, isa-sabotage. No? At because the government has failed to do that, now they're crying sabotage. Eh, of course, that's understandable. No? Talagang isasabotahe ka. Kasi ang business nila ang nakasalang eh. Ang future nila ang nakasalang.
Yeah.
And you're a threat to their future. So they will do everything to stop you. What they should have started, what they should have done from day one was to clean up the criminal justice system. And in the process, clean up the processes and the procedures with respect to dealing with drug addicts. Kasi criminals and the corrupt are also in the drug rehabilitation centers run by the government. No? So kailangan ayusin talaga yan. Pag hindi mo pinurge, wala mangyayari. Stillborn ang kampanya mo against crime, against drugs, against corruption. So
Sir?
that advice is still there, and it has to be. They have to do something about it.
I even heard one approach, sabi nila, pinapatalikod sa wall. Face the wall approach. Hindi ko lang alam kung saan ito, pero how will the rehab or the addict person be rehabilitated? Eh, kailangan niya ng kausap eh. Di ba? Kailangan niya ng pagmamahal.
Yeah.
Kailangan niya ng care. Kailangan niya tulungan siya medically, clinic, yun, di ba? Hungry also. Hungry of...
In other words, mali yung approach.
Yun yung sinasabi ko, Secretary Rafi, na siguro hanapin talaga yung what is the right approach. But all these months na marami namang rehab centers doing their thing, baka kailangan silang magkwentuhan. Diba? Ano yung product end mo? Paano ka naka-rehabilitate ng tao? Siguro yung mga testimonials.
Kaya
Will
nga
help.
siguro
System,
if we
yeah.
can try to organize, no? How we can really organize all these things, parang total
Magtulungan, oo.
total ang approach natin. Tsaka I think the church can do much kung talagang we exert effort.
Kasi respetado ang simbahan, madaling
Yeah.
humingi
Yes.
ng tulong,
Sir,
hindi ba?
speaking of the church,
Yes.
I share with you your thoughts about having these parishes adopt a community, adopt a population wherein some drug addicts who turn themselves with the support of the family. Now, most parishes have these charity clinics. I belong to one in my parish church. Most of our parishes, we have medical clinics inside the parish, and we do volunteer. The doctors come to this clinic for a schedule and do volunteer works for medical services.
Okay.
To add to your thoughts about having a parish adopt this turning in drug addicts who are willing to be rehabilitated,
Right.
I call on to my fellow doctors who would want to volunteer to take care, to attend to these patients. Patients as in, they're patients, generally they are patients. Not just us doctors coming into a disaster, doing a med cap every time there's a need, but doing it regularly. Not just the regular, not just the medical standard, the regular disease conditions, but also a group of doctors per parish might want to offer their services for counseling, psychiatric help to this kind of patients, quote unquote.
They don't have to be there every day. Volunteer
They
one
should have
day
a
in a
program.
week,
Yeah,
di
they should have a
ba?
program.
So
Yes.
sana may ganon.
Well, one of the things we discussed is that since we don't have enough doctors or psychiatrists to deal with a large number of people afflicted by PTSD, and some of them have turned to drugs. One idea we're toying with
Virtual.
is a virtual call center. But how that's going to be done requires further processing. But to your point, perhaps we can make ourselves available to sit down with Cardinal Tagle or Bishop Ted Bacani and the CBCP to see how we can
Yes, sir.
Let's include that in our program.
yes, how to process
Kasi
this further.
kailangan
No?
talaga natin yung...
I think the church can do much if we really exert
Yes.
effort in that.
Because I remember, sister, in our meetings, you always ask, how can the priests get involved?
Yeah.
This is one major area.
Yeah.
Because this goes beyond PTSD. This is a national emergency that we're dealing with, and it impacts on our national
I
well-being.
think, sir, they are interested also to extend their hands to help, because I did not tell the priest that you come with us, but when they heard that you invited me,
Yes.
because it was mentioned by Balin and the other girls in our group.
They were willing to
Si
come.
sister, pwede ako pa sasama.
Anytime.
Sabi,
Yeah,
si-
diba?
But the
So-
other one this morning, kasi dalawa na ho sana nag-volunteer, sabi niya, sister, sayang.
Some more.
Sabi niya, sana hindi niyo gi-move yung date kasi may seminaryo yan i-ordain, I have to be there. Sabi ko, next time na lang, Father.
Don't worry,
Sabi-
sister. This is at least a 2-year program.
It's not just 1 week, once.
This is not a one-time thing.
We're
Yeah.
going back.
There are other priests, Father, we can ask to cooperate with us.
to counsel.
Yeah, they
Yes.
just be
Yes.
more happy to do.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Lynn, Sister
Thank you.
Eva,
Thank you.
Father.
Thank you,
Captain
sir.
Sharon.
Likewise.
It was a most stimulating discussion, and I hope that something good comes out of our discussion.
Of our discussion.
Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PAGCOR.
Calling all fundraising organizations. Be a partner of PCSO to its newest project, PCSO Partner Tayo. Interested parties may visit the PCSO Product and Standard Development Department, 3rd floor, Conservatory Building, Shaw Boulevard, Mandaluyong City. You may also visit any of our branches in your vicinity or province, or email us at pcso_marketing@yahoo.com. Partner tayo sa pagtulong sa Pilipino. Nakakatulong ka na, umaasenso ka pa.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng PCSO.